I haven't brushed my teeth in 14 days. Just kidding.
Story time.
I got an eyelash going on. Never mind.
Oh, thank
Thought
you.
you'd want me to know. I thought you'd want you to know.
I do want you to know.
Well, our story, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know where to start it.
We could start it at...
The very beginning. A very good place to start.
You were conceived.
Yes, I was conceived. And it was magnificent and marvelous. I was the world's best embryo. We wanted to tell the story of how Marley and I got together. We've actually been dating at the time of filming this for over 2 years. And we've never actually really told, besides close family and friends, the story. And so, here's the story. Intro. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun. I'm
Oh, yeah.
loving it.
What?
Well, you sounded like you were doing the beginning of the McDonald's, so I finished it. Dun 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 dun. I'm loving it.
And I was doing my intro in my head.
Oh! Dun
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 dun.
dun dun dun. So Marley and I started working together in 2019?
18?
End of 18?
I think it was 18.
What happened was I was putting out so much content. I was taking a single video and I was repurposing it 17 times. Like, it was wild amount of content. And I'm not suggesting that, by the way. I learned a lot from that, but I don't think that's the way. That's overkill. And so one day I was like reaching out to my network and I was like, hey, I need help with YouTube. Who should I reach out to? And people were like, you need to talk to Marley Jaxx. I'd never heard of Marley Jaxx. And it's found out that she was in Russell's inner circle also. And I was like, cool. Well, so I reached out and I said, love to do YouTube. And we talked to set up the stuff. And
But
besides
that's it.
that was it. Like,
The most we talked was like, here's an invoice, it's paid, here's the result, thank you. Like, I never talked to you. And there was one time at Inner Circle that it was the first time that I met you.
and I didn't know who she was.
So I like walk up, I'm like, hi, I'm Marley. And he's like, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, good
and I'm
to meet
like,
you.
like Marley that works for you. I do your YouTube. And he's like,
I was like, oh, like, hi.
and Steve was very, like, he was kind of in his own bubble. I didn't know if you were, like, working on something or if you were just, like, really introverted, but you weren't
Both
super,
true.
yeah, you weren't super social, so I was just like, he doesn't want to talk to me. That was my first experience, and there was part of me that thought that you were, like, this guru on the mountain, that, like, you were untouchable and not super social, so I didn't really try after that.
And I'm definitely not huge social guy, you know, but working on that. Active thing still today. And then the next time we ever spoke was I introduced you on stage.
We spoke at the same event,
Yeah. I mean, then it was another year after that. I mean, it wasn't,
because that was FHL 2019.
yeah, 2019. We never talked ever, really. I mean, there was 6-month periods where I would just kind of reach out once and be like, hey, my YouTube channel has this on it or that on it, or we can change the, you know, the branding here. I mean, that was really the extent of it. What was also going on at that time, 2019 for me, was my ex-wife and I could kind of tell that we were going to be probably ending our relationship, and we were married for 8 years. And what most people don't know is that we were separated for almost a whole year before we ever actually even announced the divorce. It was not like some whim thing. I bring that up because around the same time, Marley spoke at Funnel Hacking Live and she got on stage and she had announced that she was going through a divorce. Wait, no, it was right before that. That was that
It was
cruise.
right before. It was
I'm
actually
getting the time was messed up.
crazy timing that it was like 4 weeks before Funnel Hacking Live. I was already separated. He had moved out of the house. Like, the papers were in process and everything for our divorce.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to be speaking on this big stage in front of 5,000 people. And I didn't want to go up with my married last name, so I
Just totally understandable.
announced publicly
Yeah.
that my marriage had ended. But I also was very intentional that I didn't want to be the divorce girl coming onto that stage, and I didn't want all eyes on me for the wrong reasons, like, oh, is she gonna fall apart, is she gonna crumble, is she broken? I documented my whole way up to that stage and just shared what I was going through vulnerably, which, I mean, I was really heartbroken and going through a lot.
Yeah, and it was maybe like the 2 Comma Club cruise, which was a mastermind, was
That was like 3 weeks before.
it was
FHL.
like, it was right before FHL. That really was the first time we really spoke. And I approached her and I said, hey, I can tell that I'm probably about to go through a divorce and it's gonna be very scary and I don't want to, but I think it's the right decision. No one gets married to get divorced, right? And, you know, so I said, I need to know your experience, you know? Like, I don't know what to talk to about this. We just talked about it. And we went to Funnel Hacking Live and People thought we were together. The other reason I'm doing this video is because there's a small pod of people who, go figure, don't like me. I put a red pig on my chest and call myself the capitalist pig. Come on, I get hate mail. And every time, like a weekly email, it's like, burn in hell. And I'm like, cool, save you a seat. You know what I mean? Like, it's just part of like what I attract. So there's this little pod that started these rumors that Marley and I left our marriages for each other. It's not true at all.
We've never told the story.
We never told the story, which is the reason why I'm gonna do this.
I think just people seeing the timeline and making assumptions could assume incorrectly that because the timelines kind of overlapped, that maybe something happened. But
in fact, in 2019, at my Offermind event, which was here in Boise, there were 650 people, not in this room. There's 650 people live at the event. I actually slept on my office floor that night, right before taking stage. So it wasn't like there was nothing nefarious going on. There was nothing that happened, but there was certainly the people who wanted to spread and do that rumors. And there was actively meetings going on, trying to figure out how to start rumors around us. And that was a very painful part, because while we wanted to celebrate getting closer, it was a double-edged sword of having an audience. So that was weird. That was hard.
And when there were some rumors going around, I was like in such heavy therapy. I was going to therapy 3 times a week. I was heartbroken about another relationship, like my first relationship after my divorce, that totally crashed and burned.
She was actually dating somebody else.
I went to Omaha. I lived in Canada.
This is right after Funnel Hacking Live.
Right after Funnel Hacking Live,
Yeah.
I started seeing this guy that my friend Christy had introduced me to online. It was this like spontaneous attempt at being romantic. He was like, why don't you come to Omaha? Let's be together. I know it's crazy, but like I see a future with you. I can see us getting married. Why don't you just like jump the border in the middle of this pandemic and let's be together? And so I packed up everything I could into 2 suitcases and I went to Omaha, and a week later, it didn't work out. And so I packed up my suitcases and my broken heart and came to live with one of my best friends here in Boise.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, also where Steve lives.
That was straight coincidence. And so at the same time, what was happening was I actually officially moved out of my house, with my ex-wife and all that. I moved out on my birthday, April 22nd, 2020. I moved out that day, and I was doing what I call the Airbnb tour. And I lived in Airbnbs for 3 months. 4 months? I mean, it was a while. I didn't have a place to live. Waiting through the divorce and that pain that was all going on. And we were not dating still either. We weren't even talking. Barely. We weren't talking much. Marley ended up moving here and living with one of her friends. And that's probably where we started talking the most. I finally found a place to live and rented for the next 2 years after that. And the rumor machine started hard. People thought we were together before we'd even thought about it or even talked about it. It made me really pull out of the info model a little bit, because there's a lot of that crap that happens. And part of the purpose of this video on my channel is to call it out. There's too much drama in our industry, hearsay rather than fact. So rumor wheel that was being created actively against what Marley and I were going through, pushing it all over the place. It sucked. I mean, I went to therapy over this. I mean, it was really, really intense how much the walls closed in. And I already was going through something painful. And then all these rumors about Marley and I started. And so it wasn't great. It was tough.
And when I started hearing the rumors, even to people that I was sharing what was going on in my life, my friends that knew that I was going to therapy 3 times a week, crying over the same things, thinking that because this guy from Omaha that I was dating had rejected me, I internalized that as a reflection of my self-worth and that there was something wrong with me and I'm unlovable. And so I would go to therapy 3 times a week, crying over the exact same things. And so when there were these rumors that we were hooking up, I was like, I can't even love myself right now.
Yeah.
And it was actually some psychedelic therapy. I flew to another city where a friend recommended me working with a nurse for MDMA therapy that finally snapped me out of that. And then I was able to actually see, oh, wait a minute, Steven is a good guy. Before I was saying, like, when people would say, like, are you? Like, he's totally great for you. I'd be like, he's not my type. My type was narcissist, manipulator, cheater, abuser. So when people were thinking that we were dating, and somebody had even said, like, stop lying to people. And I was like,
stop lying to people about
there's
what's going
no
on. Like,
lie, but also,
going
like, if you ask me instead of have rumors, I would tell you. And then when we did start dating, it was like, still not a lie. It's also just being private.
yeah, we didn't really tell anyone once we did start dating, which was until like July. Probably 2 or 3 months after that, we really didn't talk about it much. We
started telling close friends, but then you announced it publicly, like on Facebook, in February.
Yeah. February, yeah. Quite a while later. Part of that was because of how, was being flung at us. And yeah, I'm not trying to be defensive or anything on this, but I did feel the need to defend because I was openly being attacked, and it was nuts how crazy that was. So one day I invited Marley on, it wasn't a date, but we just started having Taco Bell tacos on Tuesdays. And we would just meet, and I was like, hey, how you doing? Taco Tuesdays. And we would just say hi, hang out, see how each other is doing. We both were very concerned about trauma bonding. We did not want to trauma bond to each other. And it was an active, open discussion. Because at that point, I started telling her like, hey, I'd like to take you on a date. I don't believe that my role should be like this back burner, like, well, let her make some moves. Like, no, I'm a man. I'm going to go and pursue if it's my objective, right? You see what I'm saying? So I started telling her like, hey, look, I'm kind of into you. I'd love to take you out on a date. And we had big discussions on codependence. We both are going to a lot of therapy individually.
I was very hesitant.
We were super hesitant. We actually ended up making lists on reason we should not date. And we both made a big list, and we started telling each other why we shouldn't date each other, which is like what made it so funny about the other stuff that was going on out in the social media world. We're like, you don't understand what we're doing over here, actually. We're trying to like tell each other to go away. One day, Marley was like, I could tell she was going on a date.
Oh, this is a great story.
I could tell she was going on a date, and I was like...
I didn't want to tell him.
And I knew.
I was still hesitant about you. I was still saying like, no, I don't think we should date. Let's just still stay friends. There was a little interest, but...
Can you blame her? I mean...
look at this face.
Look at me. And I wanted to support it. The worst thing is because one of the best books that I've read that really helped with this whole thing was the book, actually Russell recommended it to me. It's called The Way of the Superior Man.
Every man should read this. I get this book for my friends' husbands because it is so amazing for the relationship.
The title makes it sound like how to be a jerk. You know what I mean? Way of the Superior Man. It's a fantastic book though. And it's all about how the masculine and feminine relate to each other. There's a part in that book where it talks about if she's not interested in you, do not pursue. You gotta be so firm in who you are and what you bring to the table. You can pursue too much, and it actually forces her into her masculine and then flips you back to your feminine. So it flips Tony Robbins talks about this. The polarity of the roles goes the other way around. Not a great way to start the relationship off. It was this weird puzzle. I was talking to one of my friends about it, and I was like, how do I let her know? Like, I really hope you don't go on that date, but also support it. So I realized the only thing I could do was go full and support her on her date. So I was like, have fun on your date tonight. And she
totally called me out. I never even told him I had a date.
I was like, have fun. It's gonna be awesome. Like it'll be great tonight. Have fun, it'll be awesome. I hope it goes well, hope the conversation's good, And it's around that same time when I was like, I'm interested in and would love to take you out on a proper date. I don't believe in like just casual hangout. Like, no, I'm gonna take you on I'm a little more traditional that way. I'm gonna take you on a date. I'm gonna be the man that asks. I'm very much more like that. I started hinting at that and she was pulling back. And so I decided to start saying, yeah, go date other dudes, which is a little bit ballsy to do because there's a chance she found another guy. But I realized that if it wasn't a thing that she naturally saw on her own, why would it work out between us? I can't force this to happen. I can't force it to go in. So she said, I can't say everything I said in this because I do swear at my friends, but just not on camera because I have so many kids that follow me.
This was after though.
Was this after the date?
You said have fun on your date. I canceled my date and
That's
came
right.
to see
You did cancel it. Yeah. And then she came to see me instead that night.
I never saw that guy. I never talked to him.
Never saw that again. Yeah. We just talked. We just would talk and talk, and it was fun. And
we had such a friendship that we would talk for hours, like on Voxer, on text and stuff. Like we could just talk for so long, and we would talk about what we'd want in relationships without saying it was each other. Because I was, for a long time, was like, no, I don't know. We have a good friendship. And I was still like healing from my previous trauma. And
I was just beginning to realize how much I had personally also. And I made it abundantly clear, like after a certain period when it was appropriate, right? I started saying, I'm into you, but I want you to know that I care more about us being friends first. And that might be cheesy and cliche, but it is exactly what I said. And so we hung out as friends to hang out as friends.
I had never had that in a relationship before. I used to say, like, I've never fallen in love. I'd only crashed into love. And with Steven, I love the way that we came together because we were going through something similar. We were friends through that. I had like a big switch in the MDMA therapy that I did that supported me. And then I started to like see you differently, build the friendship even more. And then we grew in our friendship and our love. And something that we say now is like, I like you and love you.
Right, two different
That's
things.
two different things.
Yeah, both important. We actually were, telling that to my little girls, just this, to our little girls, right? The last like week, like that there's a difference. I like you and love you, right? Because you be in love, but not like being around the person. That's really tough. And we both, had experienced that. And so I wanted to make sure that both those boxes were checked. So that was one of the reasons we both were extremely slow in this relationship was we wanted to make sure that we had a deep friendship prior to ever introducing any kind of like affection. So we did. You canceled the date. I forgot about that. Then we, again, just talked. We were just friend things. I got a little more bold and I was like, look, I already know that I like love you.
I said I love you before we started dating.
Yeah.
I want to say how you said it. We were like playing this personal development game that was very much like us.
Nerdy.
Where we're like, our values and stuff on these cards. And then just in the middle of he's like, I love you. And I'm tired of pretending I don't.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And I was like,
and I don't expect you to say a
Thank
thing
you.
back. Let's just get back to the game or something like that. It was super out of it. I was like, I gotta say this. This was quite a while into just being in real friend zone, straight friend zone, purposeful friend zone. A few days later, you were like, I gotta go get my heart broken a little bit more, I think, and go date around a little bit more.
I need to ride a few more roller coasters. I need to get my heart broken by more people. Like, I'm not ready for a relationship like this.
And I said, baby, I'm a king. And when you realize that I'm a king, you're gonna be going with me. Didn't I say something like that?
Something like that.
Baby, I'm a king, and if you need to go date others to see that I'm a king, go date other people. But when you're ready to be with a king, you can come back to me whenever you're ready.
That was very attractive to me.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna chase, go back to those principles in that book, and I was really practicing them, and I gotta say, it was awesome how the nature in which it came together and how safe and incredible it was. Meanwhile, rumor storm was going on, which is extremely painful because that's not all what was going on.
We were friends and we were going through healing and we were supporting each other. And I also want to comment that like him saying that wasn't an ultimatum. It was like,
not at all.
I know what I bring to the table and I support you in whatever you want to do. And I might be like, it wasn't like I'll be here because you were like, I'm also not gonna sit on the back burner, but
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Something that you said is like, I know that we could have an amazing relationship better than either of us could have ever imagined. So if you're interested in that, I am, but I'm also not going to try to convince you or chase you. And I was like,
and I'm also probably not, like, I'm not going to actively seek, but I'm also not going to wait. I know I'm a catch and I'm going to go, seek happiness from where I was coming from. That was a big deal for me. So it should be for everybody, Well, we didn't even really start dating even then at that point, right? So it's all like end of June that this was all happening. We say that our official day, because we don't really know.
We forget what the day we started. So we're like, let's just call it July 3rd.
July 3rd. Let's say that's when we started dating. Because that was like the end of June when we were having those conversations. You might be like, oh, that only sounds like a few weeks. But yeah, we went to couples therapy. And we actually asked, remember this? We asked the therapist, please tell us why we'd be a bad match for each other. Like, we were really interested in unselling each other on this idea and still in the friend zone. You know what I mean?
Well, we went to the same therapist. So when I was going through my divorce and like when this relationship in Omaha didn't work out and I came to Boise, I was like, I am so broken. I need help. You referred me to our
a guy
therapist.
I liked. Yeah.
And it's funny, like he watched the whole thing play out. And when we started dating, or even before, I was like so hesitant. I didn't know if this was going to be good. And one of the things that he said was, if you have two people in a relationship that can acknowledge their baggage and be committed to doing anything it takes to work on that, you have two people that can succeed in a relationship.
Yeah. If you're committed to growth and
Decided
giving
that.
each other safety for that growth, realizing that there will certainly be hiccups along the way, then a relationship can work. We both were hungry to be in environments that allowed and celebrated growth. It's a lot
Didn't come from that.
No, and I say that with respect from where I've come from. No bashing at all, but it's not something that I realized was super important. I didn't realize how much growth comes with the entrepreneurial game. So being with somebody who allows you to grow and it's not threatening, that's a big deal. That changes the whole flavor of the relationship.
When we separately got married, like when I was married, I was not an entrepreneur, and that's not the lifestyle that my ex-husband signed up for. And I think it's the same thing for you.
Yeah, same. And then when I became one, it is true. You grow very quickly because you're constantly in uncomfortable situations. So you grow, and you grow quick, very fast. That can be really intense if it's not the precedent ahead of time, before getting into the relationship. And so, we had active chats about this. We talked to that therapist. We're like, tell us why we're going to be a bad fit if we ever got together. You know, I talked to a lot of coaches actually. I
forgot
forgot
some of
about a
these
lot
things.
of
This
those
is so
things.
funny.
Yeah, we ended up never actually making a list on why we should get together. It was so obvious after a while. We never made the list. We probably should make it sometime. That'll be part 2.
One of the things that you said when we were considering dating is you wanted to be with someone that you could mental volley with, that would be like in the proverbial weight room with you. And we just naturally were that as friends. So when it organically grew into love, it's awesome. I just have such a big crush on you.
It was funny to see how much we tried to stave it off. You know, like, no, not gonna happen. Nope, friends, hanging out. Tacos? Deal. Sounds good. No, not thinking about you at all. You know what I mean? Like, go through all these therapies and different sessions. I ended up doing MDMA therapy also, and I was doing EMDR therapy for every week for almost a year prior to that, really trying to work on myself and recreate. And so the conversations of making sure we don't trauma bond and then making sure that we were not becoming codependent because of a shared background, very big one also. Finally had another mentor or coach of mine tell me, like, you would think that you had defused the nuclear bomb with how careful you guys have been in this, or she said something like that.
That's so
I was like,
funny.
it was so true. And then, we kept it quiet for a long time because
it was our love. It was like this safe, special little bubble that we created. And we just didn't feel the need or want to share it with people. And then when we did, it was like, that's when we were ready to.
That's when we wanted to share it. Well, our lives are not to be on camera. You know what I'm saying? We get on camera for a purpose. And I'm very big on that. I have my own life. No, you don't know all of it. Of course you don't. Like, you see what I'm saying? And so we had some people who then started criticizing us, saying like, well, you're being secretive. Like, we're not keeping secrets. We're just being private and having our own life. Why do we owe you every single update that's happening? You know what I mean? And realizing that was tough for a lot of people in my audience, because I realized that there was a codependence piece they had on me. They were living through me, you know what I mean? And so they needed to know everything was happening in my life and history in the background. And that was tough to walk through that, but we kept it quiet for 8 months. We were careful to go out there, and we didn't want it to be a marketing thing. We didn't want someone to think that. We wanted to, and that's why we put some space and some time between all these things. And because I care about her way more than you, no offense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're gonna want to hear that, you know what I mean? Like, it should be that way. And if that is that way, freaking prove it. And so we really were careful in the way it rolled out. And we didn't even really tell my kids.
Yeah, that was a whole other journey.
For a year, right? I mean, it was a while, because we wanted them to have that friendship. And
we over-prepared with the kids
we
too.
over-prepared, like, for sure, but it was good.
I would like trickle in, like, we'd have group kind of outings with a bunch of other families and friends, and I would just be there, and like they'd start to get introduced to me, and then more of those, and then eventually they started asking like, hey, can we invite Marley over for a movie? And I was like, yes, I'm in. And then it was like a movie here, and then a dinner here, and then a like little play date here, you know, saying to the kids like, hey, we're friends. And then just evolving more and more into, we're dating, we're in love. Actually, with the kids, I'll tease them like, do you know we're in love? And they'll be like, oh, I know.
So cute.
And when we kiss and stuff, sometimes they'll be like, kiss again, and sometimes they'll be like, ew.
Ew. As a parent, you know, you got to make sure that the kids are safe in the whole thing too. So that's also the reason why we went really slow with it. Their acceptance has been faster than what I assumed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been really cool. They're really free with us. It's fun to watch that in our little souls. And then we didn't even start about being in business together for another year after that. That's kind of what happened. That's the timeline there. To share the story and set it straight. If you're using the business to run from something, that's something to look at. I get it. Totally did it myself. But like, that rope burns quickly. It's, you know, you'll burn the candle on both ends. If you're not personally happy, eventually you end up using the business as an escape, and then you end up abusing the business so that it always stays hurt, so that it always needs you. But at least that's what's happening for me. I was subconsciously sabotaging it for how much pain I was in my own life. I didn't mean to, but that's one of the reasons I launched so much stuff. I know it was because I was like, I'm needed here, so here we go, you know. And so just spot check that, and like, that's the stuff that matters. And I gotta tell you, like, happier, more peaceful, calmer, internal barometer is just lower than it's ever been. The pressure is just like, and you all have noticed, a lot of you guys have been following me for years, you've all commented, I'm just a happier dude. You know, that's our story.
And we're sticking to it. What's the call to action?
Go to VIPleadmachine.com to see what we're doing now.